It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you all this morning. Before I get started, can we give up a round for Maheen Colleen, who without you, I mean, this wouldn't be possible. So, like, shout out to you one more time. Your program has me listed as the founder of the Formation Conference, and so the Formation was a conference that was the brainchild of Gabrielle Martinez. Gabrielle, if you could stand up, please. So, I am not the founder. Actually, Gabby is. Gabby had a brilliant idea to use a sexual and reproductive health curriculum founded and based in Black girls to empower girls to also understand advocacy and action. So moving from education to advocacy and action. And it was her brilliant brainchild that really brought together a transformative conference for Black girls in DC. And so I lift up Gabby and Tucker at our Planned Parenthood of Metro Washington affiliate as really great examples of some of the ways that adults step in as allies and curators. And so I just want to honor that work. And I'm just going to ask for our panelists to introduce themselves. Transition. Can we start with Lena?
I'm saying my name.
Yeah, your name. If you could just tell us your name, your pronouns, and what brings you to this work.
Okay. My name is Lena Lafitti. I'm 17 years old, and I work for the Young Women's Freedom Center located in San Francisco, California. So yeah, I'm here with them today, and I'm sorry,
what brings you here? Why are you passionate about girls of color?
Because I feel like girls in general, like, we have so much going on. Like, we're put in categories like between female and male. Like, we can't do this, we can't do that. Like, I feel like we can do anything we put our minds to. We can do anything like a man can do, you know? And I feel like we're like really insecure about ourselves. Like, I don't know about anybody else in the room, but I know for myself, it's like, I gotta look like this, I gotta look like that, you know? So I'm really interested in this. I feel like this would be a good opportunity for me, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Celine. I am 23 years old. I am part of the Crittenton Foundation of a group called BOLD, which means that it's just like, I don't know. I am here because we basically represent like support for girls that have been in violence, trafficking, I don't know, just have traumas in their life, and we're here to support. I'm sorry.
No.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hi. Oh, hold on.
Just speak into the mic.
Yeah. Hello. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Ariana Merriweather, 14 years old. I attend Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I'm a vocal music major. And I'm here purely for the passion of colored girls. I feel like, I know that I feel like we are often unappreciated for the things that we do. We are told to hide our feelings to get the work done when we can't get the work done if there's so many feelings in the way. And so I'm just here to listen to other people's opinions on how they feel about this situation. I actually see so many familiar faces, so I actually feel a lot more comfortable. Hey, hey, Jemiah. And yeah, let's get some work done.
My name's Caitlin. We're gonna be friends after this. Cool. So I use she and they pronouns. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm with Advocates for Youth, with campus organizers, originally with the Young Women of Color Reproductive Justice Network. So I'm here. What brings me to this work is that I live this work. this is my life, and I've seen a lot of young women and girls, and in particular young women of girls in color, suffer violence in my communities, so I knew that I had to do this work, or else who would? So, yeah.
Okay, so hey guys, my name is Rochelle Downs. This says Cairo Moore. She couldn't be here today, so I'm filling in for her. But we're both a part of Melanin Uprising, which is a youth-led group of facilitators based in DC. I'm 22 years old. I use she, her, they pronouns. I'm here today as a facilitator and a panelist, but I'm also here to learn and just kind of be a part of the larger conversation about young women of color and what that looks like to live in this country as a young woman of color.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erin Lang. My pronouns are she and her. I'm here with Girls for Gender Equity from New York.
Ooh.
Could I get a show of hands? How many Black trans women are in the room? Black trans women? Could I get a show of hands? How many Black trans women are in the room? Can we just do trans in general? No. Could I also get a show of hands for the trans women of color in the room? That is why I'm here today.
Whew. So, absolutely. Shout out to our panelists one more time. It's gonna be a good conversation. So we're coming off the heels of the most historic election of our lifetimes. And now more than ever, girls of color, girls of diverse sexual and gender experiences will need, and their allies will need to fight to be seen, heard, valued, and affirmed now more than ever. So I want us to take a minute as a collective group. I don't believe in like panelist-driven conversations. This is a collective dialogue. So I want us to take a moment to close our eyes and dream. In a world where girls of color matter, what would this world look like? What would it feel like? What would it be like? And then I want to pose the question to the audience and our panelists. I dream, and I want you to complete this sentence. I dream a world where girls of color. Open your eyes. So let's start with Erin. Erin, what is the world that you dream for girls of color?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking Black girls specifically.
Okay. Absolutely.
What I think the world I envision for Black girls is Black girls allowed to be human, being allowed to have a full range of emotions, being allowed to have a full range of experience, not only wanting to be in respectable spaces like this, but us also being able to respect girls that like want to be hairstylists or want to be dancers. I dream of a world where girls can come together in community across their identity. So that's gender nonconforming folks, trans folks, cis people. And I dream of a world where we can be honest with each other about the conditions that we live in.
Celine, tell me about the world you dream of for girls of color.
Equality.
Tell me a little bit more.
Equality for everybody. I mean, just being who you are and not let society tell you how you need to look or walk or talk or just be or what you can't do. Just, you know, be equal to everything.
Absolutely. What about Caitlin? What about you?
I dream of a world where girls, in particular girls of color, queer girls of color, trans girls of color, can live without fear of violence, can live with autonomy and agency over their own bodies, can grow up knowing that no means no and yes means yes and having that respected. I dream of a world where girls of color are given the education they need to succeed and not having to demand it at every turn. And I dream of a world where girls of color don't have to listen to locker room talk anymore. So.
Rochelle, what about you?
I dream of a world where young Black girls can have the power and the confidence to define their success and have also the power and the confidence to take control of the pathway towards that success, because I think a lot of things are decided for us, and we're constantly being told what we can and cannot do, so we can do anything.
What about you, Lena? Is it Lena?
Yes.
Lena.
I see a world where girls, we need to be heard, you know? I feel like we're not, I just feel like we really need to be heard. I feel like I agree with her. We have all these emotions inside. How are we supposed to do what we need to do if we have these emotions? And then, again, I agree with her, too. How are we supposed to, we need to be ourselves. We need to stop worrying about the media and society. We just need to focus on ourselves and not worry about looking like this person, looking like that, or trying to, compare yourselves to other people. I feel like we just need to be heard, and we need to know that, we all are beautiful. We all need to accept ourselves the way we are.
Absolutely. What about you, Ariana?
I'm sorry. I dream of a world where colored girls are appreciated for their melanin. Point blank, period. The shade of melanin, I don't really care. That doesn't matter. What matters is what kind of person you are. That's all that matters. Nobody else really cares. I identify as a lesbian, so that's a girl who likes girls. And I'm often put in a corner because of how I think. I'm an artist, I'm Black, I'm a girl, I'm gay. There's a lot of things that happen in my mind, and people don't understand that. And I think this world needs to understand that you can't create one image of a person and then portray that on everybody. That's not gonna work. You have to understand that everybody is different in their own way. And that's beautiful. Who wants to live in a world where everybody's the same? That's scary. Okay? So, yeah, just equality and love and understanding everybody's aura, and everybody's aura is different, and that is okay. Let's be different. Let's be different together. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is, I heard a couple of themes come up from our brilliant panelists. So I hear that I want girls of color. So this exercise of I dream a world comes from a dope Black feminist named Paris Hatcher, who does this I dream a world where Black girls. But I think it's always instructive for us to dream and vision. And in moments like this, it can be really difficult for us to see past what's immediately ahead of us. But one of the things that I know about Black girls and I know about girls of color is if there is nothing else that we hold, it is our ability to dream and vision the world that we are going to create. Abolition was a dream until it came true. Freedom was a dream until as it is coming true and fits and starts and all types of other things, right? And so our ability to dream is actually what grounds us in these moments. But as my mama likes to say when she wants to call me on the carpet, faith without works is dead, right? So don't just pray, use your feet. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna ask our panelists, so you have this dream of a world, and I heard a couple of themes come up. I hear we want girls of color to be emotionally emancipated. We want girls of color to be able to come together in solidarity with each other and camaraderie with each other across our identities and experiences. We want to be respected across all fields, professions, and life experiences. We want to live free of violence. We vision a world where we don't have to listen to locker room talk, right? Where we don't have to be sexualized and catcalled, where we have the power, we have the confidence, and we have the power to define what success looks like for us, and most importantly, where we are free. So tell me about the work that you're engaging in your community to help actualize this world that you dream of. Let's start with Celine. All answers are good answers. Good. Would you like me to come back to you?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Caitlin, would you mind kicking us off?
Of course. So I'm from Las Vegas, so a lot of you might know that as Sin City. Sex sells, that good. So it's an interesting place to live in, especially when doing work around sexual health and sex education, considering we haven't updated our sex education policy in Nevada since the 1980s. So it's a little outdated. So in my community, I've been doing work around comprehensive, LGBTQ inclusive, culturally competent sex education in our schools, as well as sexual assault prevention. I had the amazing privilege of speaking at a rally at UNLV for the It's On Us campaign with Vice President Joe Biden. And I've been really doing work around preventing sexual assault from the beginning with education. So I've been empowering and mobilizing young people in Las Vegas to really know that their voice matters and that they can speak out and demand what they need to succeed. So I've been doing a lot of work around really like the hypocrisy and the double standards in Las Vegas, where sex serves the greater interest, but only when the greater interest is capitalism and not when it's our public health outcomes. So.
Say that. What about you, Erin? I'm familiar with all of the brilliant artwork that you've created across the, I'm thinking of Ripley. I don't know why I'm thinking of Ripley, but I just see your face everywhere, and I'm like, oh, you're brilliant and bring so much. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the work that you're doing to bring this world that you envision to fruition.
Well, I'd love to lift up my dear sister, Ripley Bennett, who is an amazingly talented artist. Her work was just featured in Miss Major's documentary. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her. She is a prison abolitionist and a trans woman who's been doing this work for over 4 or 5 decades. So that's amazing. So thank you for lifting that up. The work that I've been doing has mostly been the work of living, being in community with other trans people, other Black people. It's looked a multitude of ways. It's been organizing, it's been writing, it's been speaking. It's been like living room conversations with the girls. It's been so many different things. My work is ever evolving, and it kind of bores me, honestly. It's not something I really care to remember all the intricate things I've done. You all can Google me. I'm sure you have that would bring some fun results. My work is mostly the work of living, mostly the work of telling the truth regardless of where I am or who I'm around. So, yeah, that's it.
I want to affirm in that oftentimes we don't think about our survival as a form of resistance. Mm-hmm. And so what Erin brings up is a really important statement about our ability to get up in the wake of what seems insurmountable as actually an active act of resistance. So thank you for elevating that. And I think about Audie B. Wells, right, as this radical truth teller. So there is power in honesty. So thank you. Lena, what about you? Tell us about the work you're doing.
Like I said, I work at the Young Women's Freedom Center in San Francisco, and we encourage young women who are involved in the juvenile system, who are in the juvenile halls. We encourage them to, make a positive change when they come out. or not even when they come out, just like, you know, start anew, but not only for the young women who are inside, but also who just got out, like, we encourage them to make a positive change. And what was the other question? Okay, yeah, that's it.
What about you, Rochelle?
Yeah, so with Melanin Uprising, a lot of our work is based around like conversation, just talking about what the issues are. So within Melanin Uprising, we focus a lot on intersectionality. It's one thing to be a woman in America, but it's another thing, completely different thing, to be a Black woman in America. So there's that. And then just yesterday, we had an event about rape culture and consent, and that was just like an educational, open discussion where people are given the space to talk about what rape means and what consent means, and just having that conversation, you know, we do our part in that way. Outside of Melanin Uprising, just as like a Black woman, I make a point to, create a community of Black women for support and just being able to, you know, have conversations and be real with each other and create those safe spaces in a world where there aren't many of them for us. So it's an everyday thing. It doesn't stop. So.
Absolutely. What about you, Ariana? What kind of work have you done in your community to bring about the world that you want to see?
Well, let's start out with my community. I live in Shaw Howard. Hey, hey. So, I'm a busybody. I do everything, okay? I do everything. So, my mom has made it a point that I get to put my energy somewhere. So I dance, I sing, I act, I write. So I do everything I can to make sure that I don't do bad things in the world. So I was in the library one day with my mom, and I said, Mom, why there's so many kids in the library? They're not even reading, they just running around. Like, what are they doing? She said, well, they don't have nothing else to do. So I said, let's give them something to do. So I said, okay, look, I know how to do all of these things, but I ain't doing nothing with nobody to help anything in this situation. So I said, let me start a dance class. Oh, yeah. So I go to my mom and say, hey, Mom, look, this is what I want to do. So just let me do it. Just let me do it. She said, okay, let's go to the director of the library first before we make any big moves. So we go to the director. He says, you serious? Mind you, the director is a white guy. He said, you're serious? You really want to take all these kids and put them in a room and make them do something? I said, yeah, why not? Why not? So he said, okay, if you get enough girls and guys, I'll fund it. I said, don't test me, sir. Don't do it. Don't test me, sir. He said, I'll do it. I said, bet. So I went upstairs, and I swear on my great-grandmama, I said, who know how to dance? Who know how to dance? Everybody was like, I don't know how to dance, but I could do a little something, something. So I'm like, all right, how about y'all just come dance on me for a second? I had my boombox, because I carry my boombox everywhere. So I had my boombox, and we got in the room. I cut on some music. I said, do whatever you feel. It was only 3 girls in that room. 3 weeks later, we had 12 boys and 14 girls. 12 boys and 14 girls, and that was all by word of mouth. And they came in every day from 3 to 7 and just danced. And I said, okay, now we got y'all dancing, we need to talk a little bit. Cause I could see the pain that was on them. It was heavy. Some of these girls came home to nothing. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. And I'm blessed to have a mother who gave me everything and some more. And so I sat down with them, and we sat in a circle, and I heard so many terrifying things. And in my mind, I just couldn't wrap my mind around this. I'm like, why are you living such a hard life? You're like 8. When I was 8, I was eating lip smacker and doing stuff that normal 8-year-olds should do. And I was like, this ain't right. This ain't nowhere near right. And so I said, I'm just keep doing it. And so I was 9 years old, and we started the company, and I had to end it, unfortunately, because I started going to Ellington, which takes up my entire life. But it will be starting again, and I can promise you it will be starting again because I feel as though that changed a lot. Actually, one of my shooting stars girls is back there. Yeah, shout out to her. But yeah, I feel like just talking, just opening up your mouth and just saying something, it helps. It helps a whole lot. So yeah, I'm done.
So I think that many of you have alluded to this in the statements that you've made, that many people look at young folks as kind of charity cases, right? Like, the adults have all of the answers, we have all of the knowledge, let us gift you with all of our immense wisdom, right? Right? So, and that creates this dynamic where we are not learning from young people, we are not engaging young folks. So if you had to tell adult allies who really want to show up in this work what you need, I'm going to get to you, Celine. What you need, what would you tell them? So let's kick it to Celine to talk about what she's doing in her community, and then I'd like you to engage with what would you tell adults that they need to do to better support you?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about an app that we created in our community, and Crittenton Foundation, that supports girls everywhere. It's just an app where you go and share every day what you go through, or it could be good things and bad things. You will always get a positive response every time. You can share if you're going through a trauma or if you're having a great day. It's a really good app to keep in touch with people around and get to know more girls.
Absolutely. And what I think is important in what you're saying is that there are all of these, we have this vast amount of technology. So how can we leverage technology to really build supportive networks and communities for girls, for girls to support each other, for folks who are allies or who want to support you all to do so? So that's a super dope idea. So what do you think about additional ways that adults and allies can support girls of color?
By listening, by just putting their ear out there and listening to what young women, girls want to change or do. Not just go in there and have an opinion and just talk without knowing what we need. And I say we because, there's I'm sorry, just go blank.
No, thank you for that brilliance.
Just listening.
What about you, Rochelle? What can adults and allies do to better support young women and girls of color?
Yeah, so it took me a while to kind of think of adults as allies, especially Black adults, because I kind of saw us all as one community. But then working with Melanin Uprising, where the main focus was the youth, that's when I started to, kind of look at their roles a little bit differently. And I think that, like Celine said, step up by stepping back, just kind of creating that space for young people to be able to talk and voice their opinion, give them a platform for that opinion to be heard, but also with resources. I think that adults have access to a lot of resources that young people don't have, or that other people are not willing to give to them because they're young or whatever. So financial resources, whatever other type of resources you can think of, that's a good way for adults to plug in with youth.
Absolutely. What about you, Erin?
I think it's really important for youth and adult allies, this is my first time hearing that, to understand how much we need each other. when I think about like liberation movements, I think about like the Black liberation movement, this current iteration we're in. It belongs to all of us. I think there's this idea that when you're young, it's now your thing. But Black people come in all different shapes, sizes, and ages as well. So I think understanding that like it doesn't just belong to the elders, it doesn't just belong to the youth. Removing the ego out of the situation and working together is really it. And what that looks like specifically, I can't think of like a bulleted list at this point outside of like remove the possession from the movement, and don't approach people in a paternalistic way. I think when you give people like space to like breathe and to like vision and to struggle, you get so much more work done than showing up into a space and saying, because I've done this, you have to do this. I think Black people are still getting murdered in the streets, so the work is not done. So we still all have so much to learn from each other. I think what youth have to offer, like adult movements or just like movements from the past, is like vitality, maybe access to technology in ways that like older people don't understand, and what our adult allies, which that term cracks me up, I'm sorry. But our adult allies have history and knowledge that we could never have. It's one thing to have book knowledge, but it's a completely different thing to actually say, I was alive during this time, and these were the conditions. These are the things we thought would work, and they didn't, and this is why. And this is what could happen now if we work together. I think we just have to get over this whole, like, who does this moment belong to? And understand that we've all got this movement on us as, like, people.
Absolutely. So I'm going to kick it back to the panelists in just a moment, but I want to open up space a little bit. I know we've been talking a lot about visioning and the power of visioning. I want to open it up to the audience to tell us about the vision that you dream for girls of color. I'm actually a fan of popcorning, so just go ahead, stand up, and I'll keep stack. How about that? So stand up, and I'll keep stack if you got something. True. Okay, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me about your vision.
Women can be looked at as something so great, instead of just being looked at as a figure of just twerking and not having an education and being ratchet. And you know, I feel like, I envision and dream that we'll all stand together and sit together, and a woman can be appreciated for who she is, and not just popping out babies and having different baby daddies. And I dream that a trans woman can be seen as a woman and not a man that is just queer or gay. They can be seen for who they are. You know? Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks. And shout out to the folks with different baby daddies, because life is out here. We out here.
Get into y'all.
All of our forms.
That work is necessary.
Okay.
And then press the button. It's the button. Yeah.
Is it on?
It's
on. I think it's on. Okay. Good morning, guys. My name is Monet Umana, and I'm here representing a lot of different organizations. I'm not going to waste my time going through them, but we can talk later. I think definitely, like, initially when I'm asked about a dream that I have, I go straight to equity, right? Not just equality, not just the thought of everybody needs to be equal, but the thought of equity, in that everyone needs to get what they need to get to the same place. And so, to my sister who just spoke, right, I would challenge that a little bit. Because when I talk about equity, I talk about empowering the woman with several baby daddies popping out babies. I talk about empowering the trans woman. I talk about giving power to those identifiers, right? Maybe 3 years ago, I would have had the tag ratchet, regardless of whether or not I was ratchet. So finding power, finding power in every single identifier that every single woman would like to tag onto themselves, right? Because that's the whole thing about equity, is that we get to self-define. We get to be who we are and have no shame in that. So that's what I dream about.
So Monet, I'm going to kick you for a quick question. Because you brought up a lot. So what do you think girls of color need in this moment?
Right, so back to that point about self-definition. 2 months ago, so I'm part of an organization called City Year. I serve in a school in Anacostia, and I work to support young students, young Black students specifically. And while a lot of my students and I look the same, the things that we need vary on such a great scale. And so 2 months ago, I was on a college-bound track, and I realized that the things that I needed at that moment, I would not find on the campus of Howard University. So I needed to take my space, right? And I needed to figure out what I needed. And so I dove into service. And so each person, right back to self-definition, knows what they need, regardless if they have the expansive vocabulary to articulate that. And so just giving young students of color the space to kind of figure out what that is. We need space, we need voices.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome.
I see you. You?
To answer the question about, oh wait, hold on, my bad, I'm sorry. To answer the question about what do I think young women of color, what do I dream for young women of color is I dream that people can be proud of their cultures. Even if you're not that in touch with your culture, like I know a lot of Black people in America don't know exactly where they're from. That's okay, that's fine. I mean, how are we supposed to? But a lot of...
Go ahead, best friend.
No lie. Locate the lie.
I mean, it's like, there are so many people in the media that love our cultures. And I'm not just talking about Black cultures, I'm talking about all people of color. They love our cultures, but they don't love the history behind our cultures and what that means to us as people. For example, people love cornrows. Love them. They love boxer braids. Yes, they love cornrows, dreads, boxer braids. They love all the afros, but they don't know what that means to us. They don't know where that came from. They don't know the creativity behind that. They just know the look. I can't explain it, I'm sorry, I'm not that creative. But my thing is like, and all cultures, like, people love the, Southeastern Asian jewels, the look, the everything, but they don't know what that means to them. So I think I dream that young women of color can be proud of who they are without being put down for something that they are. Like, I am Black, and I'm not afraid of being Black, and I love being Black, and I don't think I should be made to feel bad for that. And I don't think anyone should be feel bad for anything that they are, if that's what you are.
Absolutely. Thank you. Can I ask you to run the mic to this sister right here? Can you run the mic? Tell me about the world you dream for girls of color.
I dream of a world where girls are not stereotyped, where being an empowered, confident female is no longer considered a bad thing, a world where if you don't hold your tongue and keep your head down, you need a man in your life. Being bold is not a bad reflection of your family. Having a passion that causes you to stand up for what you believe in should not place you under the stereotype of an angry Black woman. Stereotyping me puts me in front of a mirror, seeing 1,000 other faces, but none of them are mine.
I think we just got a word. I see, so I'm gonna take these last two, I'm gonna kick it back to our panel to answer the question, and then I'm gonna open it up for questions, okay? That was a word. Amen. Ashe, Selah.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see amazing faces, beautiful people in the same room. I'm very excited to be here today and just thank you all for being here and thank all of you guys. Without every single one of us, we can't be empowered today, so I'm very excited. My dream is to work together. Oftentimes I see groups or women working on specific topics, and I see that that's very, very important and that's very necessary. but also respecting each other and being unapologetic with other groups that try to marginalize us. Also, I want to also address that it's very important to learn from each other and to also work with each other, like I said earlier, respecting each other and learning from each other what we think about different views. Oftentimes I see different women just kind of shatter each other out or say, hey, this is my ideas, respect my ideas, now let's go forward and go with my ideas. I think it's also crucial to say, hey, let's back away. Let's see how we can work together and make things happen. And yeah, I envision working together as a community because we're all facing different struggles. And like she said earlier, how we need to see a world with equity and see a world where we can work together to make stuff happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. What I hear is solidarity is a set of consistent actions, and is not just a word.
I dream of ending all negative things like people judging each other. Instead of judging, we should work together and make the negative things into positive things. Like, let's say a girl is getting bullied because of her weight. Well, why don't we just work together and make it positive instead of just making her feel bad, because those negative things could lead to like suicide thoughts or stuff like that.
I want to acknowledge there's some more hands. There's going to be an opportunity for folks to engage. But you, panelists, you've heard some of the visions that our fellow girls of color have. Tell us about what you need adults and allies to do to help us get to that world. So Caitlin, I don't think I've heard from you.
Yeah, so I think that something we hear a lot is like, oh, we have to give young people a seat at the table. And I don't really buy that, because I think young people of color are holding the table up. Like, we're underneath it. People often say black women are holding the world on their shoulders, and they are. So I think that we need to see adult allies like really respectfully step back and get out of the way. Because someone really important to me said organizing as usual isn't working, and we need to figure out why. And the young people of color, young girls of color are the ones that are going to figure that out, but we can't if adults are getting in our way.
What about you, Ariana? And I'll get to you later.
I'm so sorry, y'all. It's cold outside. So, I'm a child. Duh. I have gone through so many situations with adults and with other children, and all I wanted the adult to do was listen to me. Just listen to me. There was a situation where my older brother put his hands on me inappropriately, and when I told my stepmother, she discarded it like I was crazy because she wasn't listening to me. And for a moment there, I thought I was crazy. I thought that I was just dreaming this, that this is just happening to me, but no, it really happened. And oftentimes, I think adults want to protect themselves from hearing certain things, and so they never really understand that this has nothing to do with you. This is me. This is my situation. I just want you to take the initiative to listen to me and understand that just because my problems might not be as big as yours, they're still problems. My favorite person in the whole wide world, which is my mama, she said, actually wrote it down, she said, to hold me is to keep me is to guard me is impossible. And sitting in this room, I finally now understand that quote. She was basically saying that to hold me from myself is impossible. To stop me from wherever my destination is impossible. However, it can be delayed. It can be delayed. And it can be delayed by other people, and it can be delayed by myself. So as far as adults, as back what she was saying, I really do think that just listen to me. There's so many things that I want to say that I'm afraid of saying as much as I like to talk. I stop myself from saying them because I feel like, okay, maybe she might react another way. Or maybe this might happen to me. Or I might get hit if I say this. You know? And I come from a family where if you say certain things out your mouth, you just might get hit. And that's a negative and positive thing, you know? Because sometimes what I have to say might not be what you want to hear, but it needs to be said. So there's that, and there's also providing support. You can always listen to what I say, but you can listen and then not do anything. Make sure you listen and actually do something about it, you know? Because believe it or not, we're powerful. We're very, very powerful with our words, with our actions. Very, very powerful people. You just have to know where to put that power. Because it's real. It's really real.
Whew, Lena, thank you for sharing. Thank you. Yeah.
My turn? Mm-hmm. Okay. I agree with Celine. I feel like not just, colored, us women, like us girls, colored girls. I feel like youth in general, we need to be heard. Like adults need to listen to us, How many people in this room feel like that us as young women, we go through a lot and we're just not heard? Thank you. Cause I know me, it's crazy. I'm saying that I feel like adults need to listen to me, but I know me personally, I'm scared to speak up. Well, I used to be scared to speak up. And now it's just like I communicate with the adults. And yeah, they listen, but like you said, they don't do nothing. They listen, they don't do nothing. So I feel like I feel like adults, y'all need to listen, because us youth and young colored women, all of us, we know what's going on. We know what's going on nowadays. We know what's gonna happen because we're all going through it. Are we not? So I feel like adults really should listen to what we have to say. We go through a lot, not only at school, but if you work or on the streets, like on your way home, on your way to school, we go through a lot, especially as young colored women, and seeing the media, this is how you're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to wear, how you're supposed to look. No, I feel like we just need to, you guys or adults need to listen to us, because like I said, we go through a lot, we know what's going on. And if you're not listening, what are we supposed to do? Like I said, I wasn't really comfortable with speaking up with my parents or adults in general, because I feel like they don't care. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to listen, but they're not going to listen, It goes one ear and then out the other. And there was one time in my life where I was doing therapy, and she was just like, you need to talk to your parents, you need to talk to all the adults around you to get the help. And I did family therapy, and I learned that's when I learned, they listen, but they don't want to hear it. Like you guys said, they don't want to hear it because they don't want to see what we go through, what we know, and how we're feeling as young women, as youth in general. So yeah, I just feel like adults need to listen, because we got a lot going on. We know what's going to happen, and we know what's going on right now. So thank you.
So, in the words of my dear friend Amber Phillips in the audience, young girls of color got the juice, right?
I got the juice.
I got the juice. And so I just want to open up some space for folks to ask questions, to give reflections, to tell us about their dreams.
Don't be shy.
I see 1, 2, 3, Monet, 4. Okay, so let's go. So I got to 4. Let's take these first 4 questions or reflections, and then we'll come back to the second group. So who was number 1? Okay. If we can have folks line up over here, too, that'd be dope. I don't know. I'm bad with logistics.
Don't hurt people. Be safe.
Okay. So sure, let's go ahead. So we'll do a question, comment, reflection, and then we'll have the panelists respond. We'll do the batches.
Okay. Aloha, kakahiaka kahau. That's how you would say hello and good morning to everyone in my language. In Hawaii Olelo, I'm Native Hawaiian. I actually just had something I'm really reflecting on, and based off of the question that you had posed earlier about the world that we dream. but I don't know that I have a fully formed question to go along with it yet.
Yeah.
But really what I was thinking about was what that world would look like if Indigenous women and girls were visible. If we were seen and could be heard by the rest of society and not just our own communities. And I think about the idea of equity and equality, and I think about an elder in my community who shared that in Olelo, Hawaii, in the Hawaiian language, we don't have a word for equality or for equity because those were not things that in our community we ever had to talk about. What we talked about was balance. We have words for balance. And so I think even envisioning these futures, I think about how can I make sure that our Indigenous culture and our values are staying at the center of those conversations and those visions. And when I think about balance, I think about how that's not just about people and how we interact with each other, but also the land. And so I think about what's going on at Standing Rock right now and how Native women and girls are putting their bodies on the lines to try to protect their water, to make sure that their basic rights are being met. So those are just some of the things that really I've been sitting with in the audience, and I thank the panelists for all of the wisdom and knowledge and experience that you're sharing with the group.
Thank you.
My name is Simeona Williams. Oh my God, Beth, I knew it. I'm Simeona Williams. I represent the Link. You asked what do you think black women need or black girls need. I think they need a place to call home, a place where they can go, a place where they can be themselves, a place where they can do something slow and nobody, says, oh my God, why did you just do that? Judge them for anything. They can be this, they can come home whenever. They can feel like they are who they are wherever they are, period. So what I decided to do about that was to donate my house to these youth. They need somewhere to go. I'm gonna be the one to help if y'all not. So, yeah.
In the coming days, we're gonna need more safe houses than not.
So I guess my question is kind of like a two-part question. So answer whichever half you want, and this is for all the panelists. So as you continue to live at the intersections of many different identities, from being black and queer to being young and an activist, to being young and of color, to being obviously powerful beyond measure, right? What are some asks that you have for more privileged groups? And also if you could let us know, like, what are some things that kept you going at your lowest moments, right? Because we all know, everybody who's been through something, right? It's not the most poignant growth you do in your successes, but in your lowest points and in your failures.
I can speak to the first one. I actually don't remember the second part, but to the first, yes, please.
Part was, what can more privileged groups do to support you in your marginalized identities? And then the second part was, what is something that kept you going in your lowest moments?
Okay. To the first one, I would say shut the F up and give us your coin. To the second one, I think what has kept me going has been community, has been my family. Yeah, just wanting to see something different. I feel like I've been lied to, so now I want to tell the truth. So that's going to keep me
going. To the first one, essentially what he said. She said, I'm sorry.
She said.
I'm sorry. My mind is a little messed up. My mind is a little messed up. You're a woman, and I respect you for that. I have friends who are transgender. I respect you for that. So, what I just... I don't want to be rude at all. I don't like being rude. I don't like being disrespectful, so I want to say that if I disrespect you in any manner. But in regards to your question, what keeps me moving is my drive to always do better, to be better, to check myself when I'm wrong. And to regards to your first question, understanding that maybe they don't know that they're as privileged as they are, so maybe that's why they don't help. And for the ones that do know, maybe because they just don't want to, and someone has to step up and say, I need help. So it's a two-part thing for me. So yeah.
Yeah. So we're at a 2-minute time barrier. I remember someone earlier saying that something around solidarity as actions and not words. And I think when we talk about solidarity, we have to talk about the ways that we show up, and sometimes, like as privileged groups do, right? Mm-hmm. That we show up and cause pain and harm, mm-hmm. even when we are attempting to do right. And that solidarity means that being clear about the harm and also being clear about repair, right? Like that's the basis of reparations. And so that the work of solidarity is work of showing up but not putting all of the emotional labor on the person who is harmed to then continuing to show up, right? And so if this is the work we are engaged in doing in the future, we have to know that we are each bringing our own sugar honey iced tea into the space, and that we are going to cause some harm, and we have to be committed to repairing the harm that we caused. And so I want to leave as solidarity, as what the world we are visioning is one where we are a collective body working in harmony, and sometimes that looks very tense and difficult. But it has always been the work. It has always been the work of real, true, legit feminism to figure out how we continue to move forward. And so I just want to ask us to close out with one word about what we are taking out of here with us, what will bring us joy. So one word about what brings you joy as you are leaving this space. And we will start with Lena.
Can we come back to me?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let's start with Erin.
Okay. I don't have one word. I actually have a whole thing. I think what just happened was a really important moment that shouldn't be just glossed over in this space. Yeah. Moments like this are embarrassing, they're uncomfortable, but they lead to the literal deaths of women like me. So I just want us to be aware that when we're creating spaces like this, what's actually going on and what it looks like, what erasure actually looks like in these spaces, and the ways that you're complicit in the lives and deaths of trans women, specifically Black trans women. I don't know, I'm ready to go. I actually don't like the White House very much, so I didn't want to be here to begin with. So for me, right now, what will bring me joy is leaving.
Okay, I receive that.
Yeah. So one word that stuck out to me when someone from the audience was speaking was home. That's something that's very important to me. I have a white grandmother. My grandfather's from Nigeria, and my mom is Black American. So home is something that's the concept of home is something that's very difficult for me to understand, and it's something that I'm constantly seeking or trying to create from scratch in some ways. So.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So just one word, what will bring you joy?
Liberation.
Mm-hmm. Ariana?
Peace.
Lee?
Support.
I have one word, but I just want to say, when I look around the room, I see sisterhood, I see community, I see love, and yeah. That's it, sorry.
You. My word will be you. Thank you so much. Can we give it up for our panelists? Can we give it up for the tension? And can we commit to continuing this work? Thank you again, Maheen.